When I first joined the oil sector, it was a challenging moment, not only for Sonangol, but all across the board. I mean, all the different IOCs were going through the same challenges that we were. We were facing downturn in revenue, so revenues had dropped dramatically. We were struggling with some of our investments, with some of the projects that we had developed. We felt that we were not generating enough dollars per barrel in terms of profits. So the challenges were not just Sonangol challenges, they were really challenges that were felt by other NOCs and IOCs. And the likes of Aramco took a program of transformation. Also, Abu Dhabi's national oil company also decided that they should embark on a program of transformation. And very much animated by that spirit, our government, our state, that is the 100% owner of Sonangol, also decided that it would be a good moment to transform and restructure the company. And the idea behind this is that we need to have a company that is more agile, more competitive, more profitable, and a country whose governance and whose corporate vision is more similar to the private sector. When I arrived, I found a very complex environment. We have a number of businesses that are not oil and gas related. There are other businesses. A company that had a great deal of debt. That debt was mainly connected to CapEx, to development of oil field projects that we had done in the past. And obviously we were struggling because the oil prices were extremely low. So the first review that we did, we've only been in this transformation program now for 18 months, so 1.5 years. So the first thing we did was to look at our financials. We looked at our numbers, and we quickly understood that the level of debt that we were carrying was just unsustainable. So we had a very aggressive debt reduction plan, and we reduced our debt in over 30% in this period. The second thing we did was to look for ways of reducing costs. And this reducing cost exercise, which we called Sona Light, is very much about engaging with our partners and also with our suppliers and renegotiating the contracts, rationalizing the spending, and seeing if we can get synergies. Through that program, we were able to capture about $1.2 billion of savings, of which we have already executed. So we have already consolidated 638 million. On top of that, we understood that cost savings was just not enough. We also had to look at ways of generating more revenue. So we started a program that we called Sona Plus, which is about looking at the different business opportunities we have across the board and how we can increase revenue generation throughout these businesses. We are a company, so we are an enterprise. We are not part of government. Our posts are not ministerial posts. We are not elected, and our nomination is not subject to the elections. So in that sense, we have a mandate, which is a directorship mandate, where we have to fulfill a business plan. There is a 5-year business plan model that has been put into place. Part of achieving those results in the business plan goes through culture change, so a management culture change. We're changing a lot of the ways people work in the company, so installing new culture, new values. We're looking at values like transparency, efficiency, increased profitability, recognizing merit, being a lot more rigorous and disciplined about your approach, and most of all, we're really looking through excellence. We're asking our people to do the extra mile, to give the extra mile to the company. In terms of transition, political transition in Angola, I think that Angola is an example. In terms of the political transition, we've had a president that was in office for a long time for historical reasons. Angola had been in war for almost 3 decades. This is the 3rd election we have in Angola, it's not the first. So Angola has been a full democracy for a while with a number of parties. There were several candidates, not only at this election, but also on the previous elections. And the MPLA won with the majority, so the same party as was previously running the government is continuing to run the government. And I believe that the policies and their vision are about continuity in terms of the economy in Angola's development. So I believe in that sense, nothing will change.
Isabel was talking about the change of power. I've seen it, I watched it myself, which I congratulate the President Dos Santos. It's the first time in Africa the president who's taking power greeting the former president is something new in Africa. So it's a big lesson for us Africans.
When we look across the board, across the whole of Africa, there is a deficit of refined products. Our refining capacity in the continent is below our needs. I would say it's probably about a third for what we really need. And most of our refineries are also old, and the technology that they're using make them no longer competitive. Now, I believe there is a case for refineries on the continent. I believe there's a case to build refineries in Africa. But when we do so, and when we think and design such refineries, we must do it in a very competitive model. Now, traditional refineries that are based here in Europe have very low margins, so they're quite cheap to run. And if we compare with the large investments of large refineries that are currently being done in the Middle East, those are also very, very difficult competition. So when we think about designing, planning, and building our refineries in Angola, we really have to have a very strong business case. And this is what we did. We went back to look at our Lobito project. That is an old project that was that has been on our desk for the last 15 years, and really to understand if the assumptions still are valid and what would be the improvements to make sure that the business case we had was a good business case. And this is what we're doing now. We're currently reviewing the business model case for refinery. So we are interested in building a refinery, yes. We will be looking at capturing investment for that refinery. We'll be looking at partners that would come in and do that with ourselves. And most of all, what's really important is that we have a solid and robust business model. I've seen that there is a great level of interest from all kinds of, whether operators or traders or even just financiers, to take a role in the refining production in Africa. Quite simply because when you look at the prospects of African consumption, the prospects are good. So Africa will be one of those continents where the consumption for refined goods will still be on the rise compared to Europe, where slowly the consumption is going to slow down, and also Asia, that also is expected that the consumption will slow down. So Africa will still be a good destination for refined products.
You know, we have refineries already in Europe,
Yep.
and also in Australia. So yeah, of course, why not Africa? It's something we look at definitely. You know, trading today is all about assets. It's not about pure trading anymore. So yes, we look at that in the same way we looked at all the downstream investments. But as Isabel said, you know, you need to look at the merit of the business case first, because you need a lot of factors to come in. And as she mentioned as well, it's you don't want to build a small refinery or a very simple refinery. It doesn't make any sense today, because you have to compete with the big monsters from the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, soon Kuwait, I mean UAE, and all these refineries are big refineries producing very cheap products, and they can kill your market if you are not building the right plants.
Our perspective for growth and future development and investment are geared around gas. We believe that we still have untapped gas. We have 7 gas prospects that we have identified and that we aim to develop. And we believe that the growth of gas consumption will be faster than the oil growth. Gas would be part of our strategy to diversify. So we will still very much stay committed to oil, because we have great oil prospects. We still have untapped resources that we have reserves that we have identified and which we know that are viable. So we have projects that can come on board at a profitable manner, and that's the key. That's the key message, is that we have oil reserves that could come on board at a lower break-even price point per barrel than the ones that are currently developing. And we feel that these should be developed, and these do have good possibilities. In terms of oil, I think that the uses of oil will also diversify, because we have to think that the petrochemical industry is also growing, and consumption of petrochemical goods are also growing. So I don't think there is such an urgent case for abandoning oil or believing that oil should be completely extracted. We believe the demand for gas will peak around 2030, yes.
Yeah, I'm certainly not going to tell you that the end of oil is near. I don't think so. I think we need oil for the next few dozen years to come. You know, world consumption is still increasing, and that the world oil fields are depleting by natural depletion rates. Let's not forget that, to the tune of between 2 to 5% per year. So this needs to be replaced today for the next dozen years to come.
I also can add to the mobility that you mentioned, electric vehicles. It's true that a lot has been done in electric vehicles. Most of those electric vehicles are for individual consumption. The question is about freight, because still when you need to move larger tonnage, when you have bigger masses to move, today do it with electrical mobility is still not resolved.
I think what is important for us also is energy, because you can't produce if there is no energy. You've got the Inga, which I call a monsters. We talk about Inga since I was born. I think there is another hydropower. Angola built a lot of hydropower. Even in Rwanda, they built some hydropower. In Congo, you can move forward. With no energy, you can't develop the mining sector.
We are an NOC, a national oil company, so we're the concessionaire. But within our group, we do have an IOC-like company, which is Sonangol PNP, which is an operator. So we're very active in Angola. We have some international operations in Brazil, in Iraq, for example. And we're looking at other international operators. So it is part of our ambition to enlarge our footprint and to be more like our peers. I think in terms of the production part of the business, we're looking at different ways of funding. Currently, the model we use is partnership, so we partner up with other IOCs. Sometimes we take an active role as an operator, and sometimes we take just a role as a financial investor. It's a strong model, it works well. We're increasing our company's efficiency, which is key. We need to have a company that is attractive. And we're doing that by bringing in more talent, and also by looking at our processes, so having better processes, and restructuring the company itself.